Is the UK dream dead? That in fact, the Europeans have done once again what they know how to do best, using your own against you. The UK makes about £41.9 billion just in international students coming. Is the UK dream dead? Now, growing up, we are always familiar with the American dream. In fact, this is the dream that was being promulgated everywhere on the TVs, like just in the mainstream, the American dream, the American dream. But there has been a dream that has actually been there and has been really going smoothly for a long time. But in the past decade or two, it has been, more popularized, which is the UK dream. The UK dream has been alive and most recently has been very, very active. In fact, the UK has provided so many legal means and proper way of migration. In fact, within the past 5 years or so many people were able to migrate to the UK with their dependents legally. But within the past a year or two, the rhetoric that has been coming out from the UK has not been very promising for immigrants. In fact, the Europeans have done once again what they know how to do best, using your own against you. With the rise of the current leader of the Conservative Party in the UK, Kemi Badenoch, we have seen that they are looking towards so many changes for immigrants and people who are looking to come into the UK, maybe to have a long-term stay rather than a short-term stay. So if you actually had a dream, a long-term dream in the UK, you actually have to watch this video to see the changes that will possibly be coming in, and if you have to reconsider your dream in the UK. Of course, if you're an African looking to travel over to Europe, you can always feel free to join our Telegram community. Our WhatsApp community is almost full, so access there is really difficult. So you can feel free to join our new Telegram community, which we are trying to build up. The link will be in the description. Also, feel free to go and purchase the Encyclopedia of Europe Relocation, 47 European countries. There, every single detail you need for your travels, including school, works, and everything that is actually happening in the country of your choice. That is your number one and your first stop if you wish to travel over to Europe. Link in the description also. Now, to answer the question, is the UK dream dead? The answer would be yes and no. Now, no, probably if you wish to just come into the UK and study, because of course, listen, the truth is the UK cannot actually do without international students. The UK makes about £41.9 billion just in international students coming into the country yearly. So, this is not a source of revenue that they are going to be able to kill or quell anytime soon. So that is always going to be alive. I think the only thing that's going to happen is probably there will be some quota or something like that. But to say they are going to stop immigration completely or new students from coming into the country, that is never going to be happen. Not now, not anytime soon. But yes, if you actually plan on coming into the UK and staying long term and potentially getting yourself a citizenship as soon as possible, contributing to society and just integrating and becoming part of the nation as an entity, and not just to go there, study and leave. Because in fact, the laws that are being pushed by the UK conservative leader right now is actually a law that threatens that part of your dream, if that is what you want to come into the UK for. We are going to be looking at these laws and we're going to be looking at the ones that have passed. And after this, you are going to be able to assess if you wish to stay in the country, or if you wish to still come over to UK, or if you wish to seek this dream in another part of Europe. Now, let's take a look at the immigration laws in the country for those who want to stay long term, and the possible changes that Kemi Badenoch is actually fighting for at this time. Let's start from permanent residency. Now, previously, if you arrive in the UK, you had at least 5 years to stay in the country before you can be able to apply for a permanent residency in the UK. But right now, as it stands, if it passes through in the Senate or in the House, whatever they have there, is going to be moved to 10 years. You have to be in the UK for 10 whole years of your life, which you actually know is not a small thing. 10 years is actually a long period. You have to be in the UK for 10 years before you can get permanent residency. Not just not citizenship, but permanent residency. This for me is a very long time. In general, it's very long, but I don't know if for some other people out there, it's going to be a short while. But I see this as a negative point towards coming into the country in the future if you have a long-term plan. Number 2 is the UK citizenship. Now, if you want to be a citizen of the UK, you in the past had at least 5 years each, you understand, something like that, to be eligible to even be considered to have a UK citizenship. But now, Kemi Badenoch wants you to stay for 15 years, or will I say the Conservative Party wants you to stay for 15 years in the country. Give yourself to the service of the country for 15 years before you can be able to get a citizenship. Of course, at the end of the day, every country reserves the right to decide how long they want someone to stay before they give them a citizenship. This is just me informing you that you might have to stay there for 15 years. You probably don't want to be there for 15 years to get a citizenship. I don't know. You probably want to be there for a lesser time so that you can be able to, move around and do other things with the citizenship that is granted you in the UK. But as it stands, 15 years is what you have to wait and give up on your life for you to be able to get a citizenship in the UK if this law passes through. Number 3, and the most important one for me, is the legal cap on migration every single year. So the Kemi Badenoch wants to bring in a system where there is a legal cap. Let's say we want to take only 200,000 people, or maybe 10,000 people, or maybe 5,000 people into the UK every year. This means that the slots will become very, very tight. There will be lots of competition, and it means that you can literally spend millions of naira to apply, to do everything, to get yourself prepared, and you will not be able to go through that small slots, because most of the time, the politics involved in travel and the rest of them, you might not be able to fit in through and get in within the period that you plan to do so. For me, these are the 3 most important things that can affect you if you want to come into the country legally. Other ones do not really concern us, if you want to come into the country legally. So, in summary, you need at least 10 years in the country in order for you to get a permanent residency in the country. You need at least 15 years in the country before you can even think of applying for citizenship. And finally, there is possibly going to be a cap on immigration yearly. These 3 things are what she is actually pushing for in the parliament, and they are not yet approved, all right, but there is possibility that it's going to be approved because she has a very loud voice on this and is the leader of a whole conservative party. So you should already know that these things are probably going to come, if not today, then tomorrow. But until then, I think there's still a window of you to actualize your dream in the UK. If you have to do it, you have to do it, and do it very quickly, because once these laws are passed, it becomes more difficult to get into the country, more difficult to get a permanent residency, more difficult to actually get a citizenship. With all this said, what do you have to do as someone who is planning to travel over to the UK or maybe to any other part of the world anytime soon? Now you can look at these things that I've said in this video and consider if you still want to travel to the UK anytime soon, or if you want to consider looking at other European countries, to travel to, maybe go to somewhere like Romania, maybe go to somewhere like, Bulgaria, and other parts of Europe, that are out there that are not that much, explosive or exploded right now on the general space. Consider those countries, and that is why we have built the Encyclopedia of Europe Relocation to give you 47 countries. You see all the jobs that are relevant in those countries. You're going to see the schools that are cheap and the schools that are the costliest. You're going to see everything you need to apply, the documents, everything you need. They are all in that book. Go and get the book right now and make up your mind as to where you want to relocate to. And I'm going to see you in my next video. Bye.